What's up, nerds? Welcome back to Guys of Magic. I'm Shane, and I'm with Hunter today.
What's up?
Today, we're going over Hunter's $300 upgrade to the Living Energy Precon with the Face Commander. That Precon just came out in Aether Drift, and I love it. But this is only going to be the Face Commander, and if you want to see the backup commander, that's going to be over on our Patreon. So check out the link in the description, and consider subscribing to that if you want to see the backup. But Hunter, I loved your 100. I really wanted to just jump into this. Maybe just remind me about what the commander does, what the deck wants to do, and then we'll jump into your additions.
Absolutely, yeah. So, like you said, Shane, we are playing with Saheeli, Radiant Creator, for this video. It is 1 green, blue, red for a 4/4 legendary creature human artificer. It says whenever you cast an artificer or artifact spell, you get 1 energy counter. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay 3 energy counters. And when you do, you create a token that's a copy of target permanent you control, except it's a 5/5 artifact creature in addition to its other types and has haste. Then you sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. So basically, name of the game, get a bunch of energy, copy a bunch of stuff, swing in for damage. It's easy.
Hell
I
yeah.
like that kind of strategy, you know?
Yeah, I do. I know you like that kind of strategy.
It's teamer
You
energy.
you've been doing energy for a while now, so you're gonna be a resident energy guy.
That's me. What is energy but not another counter?
And you're a counter guy. So. All right, well, let's get into your additions. But like we mentioned, this will be a continuation of the 100. So everything on the screen right now, I'm assuming you're keeping from the 100.
Yep, everything that's on the screen is from the $100 edition of this upgrade. Keeping everything the same there. We're swapping out those cards, putting in these cards. And yeah, we got some new spicy ones.
All right, well, I'm already seeing some spice. So why don't you talk to me about some creatures you're adding?
Yeah, so I'm just throwing in 3 creatures here. Very simple to the point. Ethereum Sculptor I didn't put into the 100 for whatever reason. I looked at this card when I was doing the 300 and I was like, oh, I already put that in. And I was like, wait, no, I didn't. It's 1 and a blue for a 1/2 artifact creature, Vidalcan Artificer. Artifact spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. So not only does it trigger our commander for getting energy because it's an artificer, it makes all of our other artifacts cheaper, which we're trying to cast to make
Yeah,
our commander trigger. So this
I'm
card
glad you
was
caught
like,
this.
yeah, very, very easy to throw this in.
Yep, I like it.
I am throwing in another artifact itself. This is a creature roaming throne. Everybody knows this one. It's a staple in pretty much every deck at this point. It's 4 mana for a 4/4 artifact creature golem. It's got ward 2, and as it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. In this case, we're probably going to say artificer because we do have a lot of those. So we want not only our commander to trigger, but let me read the rest of this card. It is the chosen type and it is to other type, and if a triggered ability of another creature you control of the chosen type triggers it, it triggers an additional time. So, like I said, say artificer. We're going to be getting our commander as an artificer that's going to trigger twice every time we cast an artifact. We get 2 energy, which is fantastic. And whatever artificers like this next card we're going to talk about is also really good. So, name artificer with roaming throne.
Yeah, I feel like since Remington came out, we've been putting it in like all of our decks.
Yeah, a lot of the decks
So
since it came out, I mean, it's just like Kindred, 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 Kindred.
yep,
So
it's so good.
this is the best Kindred card on the market.
Yep.
But the other Artificer I was talking about is Urza Lord High Artificer. It's 2/2 blue for a 1/4 legendary creature human artificer. It says when it enters the battlefield, you create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token. With this creature, gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. And then you can tap an untapped artifact you control to add blue. And then you can also just pay 5, shuffle your library, then X out the top card. Until end of turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost. Yeah, I don't really think I need to explain Urza that much, besides it's just a fantastic card that produces so much mana, makes a giant artifact creature token, and then just lets you play stuff for free.
Yeah, they reprinted this card into the ground, and I'm so happy because
Yeah,
this card used to be so expensive,
this
dude.
was over a $50 card at one point. Yeah.
Yeah, this was like something that you looked at your budget. You're like, can I get this in my list, please?
It's too
Yeah, that's
good.
really good
It's I think if I'm not mistaken, this is the #1 mono blue commander in all of EDH, so
for a good reason.
it's very powerful.
Yeah. All right, those look like all the creatures you're adding in this $300 upgrade. What about some non-creature spells?
Yeah, so for just we have just 1 non-permanent spell we're throwing in this deck, and it's a board wipe. We're a pseudo board wipe, if you will. It's Cyclonic Rift. Everyone knows this one is it's too good not to throw in a deck that's blue. So it's one and a blue for an instant that says return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand, and then an overload cost of 6 and a blue, which means instead of target, you say each. So you bounce all of your opponent's things away. And then you swing in for that damage because we're going to be making a bunch of 5/5s.
Very cool. I feel like if people don't know about this card, they will soon. And just like how you said, man, this kind of goes in all my blue decks just because you play this card and you're probably winning the game like the next turn.
Yeah, you are stalling out every opponent on the battlefield.
Yeah,
It's brutal for that
it's
overload.
very good. Very good card. All right. Well, you're in the artifact deck. Are you adding any new artifacts?
We are adding new artifacts. So Sensei's Divining Top is probably one of the better artifacts for our deck because we want to chain reactioning just continuously to get more of that energy. And what best way to do it besides this one artifact? So it is an artifact that costs just 1 mana, and it says you can pay 1 mana to look at the top 3 cards of your library and put them back in any order. You can also tap it, draw a card, and then put Sensei's Divining Top on top of its own library. So it's got a pseudo like protection in it as well. This card's just too good.
It's it's again a bit of a staple card. It's really good in artifact lists or just stacking the library list. Like it just does so many things.
hmm Like I said, we're trying to just always manipulate just so we can always have the best cards. And hey, you can Sensei's Divining Top, look at the top cards, and then activate Urza, and then just get the best possible thing from Urza.
True.
It's great. We're also adding another card that I missed from the 100. I can't believe I did that again. It's Stone Idol Generator for 5 mana. It's an artifact that says whenever a creature you control attacks, you get an energy counter. Like, why didn't I put this in the deck last time? I don't know, and I apologize, but here we are. You also tap it to pay 6 energy and create a 6/12 colorless construct artifact creature token with trample. Activate only as a sorcery. That part's cool, I guess, if you need it in a pinch. But other than that, you're getting a bunch of energy for attacking.
Yep. Pretty good. I mean, it's a little hefty with 5, but really good.
It just refills our energy count because we're going to be
Yep.
making those 5/5s that are sacked at the end step. So you've got to swing in with those. So you're getting energy off of what you just paid for. So it's fantastic.
Free free real estate.
It's free real estate.
What about some enchantments? You
Enchant
adding any?
enchantment section I do like a lot here. Aether Revolt, 2 and 2 red for an enchantment. It has Revolt that says as long as a permanent you controlled left the battlefield this turn, if a source you control would deal non-combat damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much +2 instead. And then whenever you get 1 or more energy, Aether Revolt deals that much damage to any target. So the Revolt might not happen all the time, which is fine, but this card is just sitting on the battlefield, just dealing damage to anything every time we get energy, and I'm okay with that because that's just additional upside of, hey, we're trying to kill our opponents.
Just passive damage, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I
Your
mean,
deck doing the thing.
we are sacrificing those tokens at the end step, so it could trigger that first clause, but at that point, you would probably need to gain energy at the same time on your end step to do the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little hard there, but that second part of just dealing damage while you gain energy is good.
Very good.
Speaking of another really good card for this deck, we got Parallel Lives we're throwing in here for 3 and a green. It's an enchantment. This is if an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many of those tokens instead. Yeah, so, just creating double the amount of tokens that our
Yeah.
commander can make, as well as all the other cards like Urza. If you guys remember, we had Simian Lacrum Synthesizer in this deck. Just kind of
I mean, what's better than 1/5/5?
goes nuts.
2/5.
2/5/5s.
Really, really strong card.
Really strong. Ristic Study also going in the deck. We needed just a little bit better card draw, and that's what we're doing here. In Ristic Study, honestly, probably the best card draw you can get. Tuna Blue enchant. It says whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays the 1. Do you pay the 1, Shane?
Do you pay the one? I mean, I always pay my taxes.
I don't. They usually draw off me, so sorry.
You're part of the problem, dude.
I am part of the problem. But
Well,
yep, card draw wins games.
really strong enchantments.
hmm
Big fan of all those. What about some lands? I'm guessing you touched the lands.
Yeah, so again, kind of continuing from the 100, we like to make our land base quicker because we're trying to win quicker and we don't like lands that enter tapped. So throwing in all of our shocks and our colors, breeding pool, steam vent, stomping grounds. They are their respective land type as well. So breeding pool is a forest island, steam vents is an island mountain, and stomping ground is a mountain forest. They all enter the battlefield tapped unless you pay 2 life, which you probably will, and shock yourself to make it untapped. So faster mana wins games.
Yes, it does. Plus, I mean, you draw them later, and no big deal. Just play a tap. Who cares?
No big deal indeed.
Is that gonna do it for your $300 upgrade?
That is going to do it for this entire $300 upgrade. That's all the ads.
Nice.
Short, sweet, to the
All
point.
right. Yeah, I like them. These are all gonna make the deck really aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait to play against it. Not really, but okay. Like I said in the beginning, this is a continuation of the 100. Everything on the screen currently is all the cuts from the 100. And since you brought over all the ads, I'm guessing all the same cuts are coming over.
That is correct. All of the same cuts are coming straight over. So got them out then, got them out here.
Gotta get them out. But speaking of getting them out, you added more cards. We gotta unfortunately cut more. So why don't you talk to me about some of the cards you're cutting to make room for all these way more powerful cards?
Yeah, so we are cutting some creatures. We got 4 creatures to talk about here. Whirler Rogue is, I know, is an artificer, and it will trigger a commander. But if you remember in the $100 upgrade, I said I didn't really care about the token production as much because we're not trying to do that. We're trying to make our own stuff, our own type of tokens. So Whirler Rogue is leaving. It's 2 and 2 blue for a 2/2 creature human rogue artificer. It says when it enters, you create 2 1/1 color adopter artifact creature tokens, and you can tap 2 untapped artifacts you control, and target creature can't be blocked this turn. While that's a very powerful effect in this deck specifically, it is not as powerful in my opinion, and that is why it's getting the cut.
Sense, man.
Aethertide Whale and Aetherwind Basker are giant energy creators, but that's the reason I'm getting rid of them, right? It's too expensive. So Aethertide Whale is 4 and 2 blue for a total mana value of 6. It's a 6/4 creature whale. When it enters, you get 6 energy. You could pay 4 energy and return this creature to its owner's hand. It's a one-time effect of ETB, makes 6 energy, but it's a whale, so it doesn't actually trigger a commander at all. I get it. It's just a giant energy producer. We're going to be making plenty of energy with just our commander anyways. And Aetherwind Basker is 4 and 3 green for a 7/7 creature lizard. It's got trample. Whenever this creature enters or attacks, you get an energy counter for each creature you control. You can also pay an energy, and this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. We're a 3-color deck, so 3 mana pips of 1 color is kind of scary. It's a little harder to cast. Plus, once again, it is 7 mana total, so that is a lot of mana to put into something that might not make it to the battlefield if we're playing against counters or something like that. This doesn't really necessarily win the game. It's just one of those things that just create a bunch of energy down the long run. And honestly, it didn't feel like it was doing as much with our other cards that make energy. So
Yeah, plus like you said, you have way more efficient ways to make energy, I think, and this is a good Precon make energy card in my opinion, but that's about it.
same with this next one. It's Pima Aetherseer, 3 and a green for a 3/2 creature elf druid. It says when it enters, you get an amount of energy equal to the greatest power among creatures you control, and you can pay 3 energy. Target creature blocks this turn if able. It's kind of like Aether-type Whale, where it's entering, you get energy at one time, and if it enters by itself, you get 3 energy, which, I don't know, like I said, it's just not doing as much. It's very interesting that there's a lot of these ETB make some energy things, and you'll see soon we're getting rid of some cards that don't necessarily care about that too much. But Pima Aetherseer, cool card, not here.
All right. I feel that. Those are the creatures you're cutting. You did add everything under the sun that wasn't a creature. But what are some non-creature spells you're cutting?
Some non-creature spells we're cutting. We did add better ways for card draw in the deck, so this one, not necessarily the best way of card draw. 1 with the machine, 3 and a blue sorcery. You draw cards equal to the highest mana value among artifacts you control. Sometimes you're just going to have an artifact that, I don't know, maybe just a construct token, which is 0. So you have a 4 mana draw nothing. But hopefully you don't have that. Maybe you'll have a mana rock, but 4 mana draw 3? I don't know. It's a one-time effect. It's at sorcery speed. It's not doing it for me, so I'm getting rid of it. Chain Reaction, I'm also getting rid of. We added Cyclonic Rift as another board wipe, so I'm taking one board wipe out. Two red, sorcery. Chain Reaction deals X damage to each creature where X is the number of creatures on the battlefield. This doesn't necessarily blow up the entire board. If someone had a big creature and there was not a lot of creatures, that wouldn't kill that creature. So
Yeah.
just one of those cards that I'm not a big fan of.
Plus, the board wipe you added is so much more efficient. So
Yeah, and
I
it
can see that one to one.
messes with just your opponents and not us.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm here for both of those.
Mm-hmm.
You added a couple artifacts. Did you remove any artifacts to make room?
I am removing some artifacts. So I alluded to this first one. It's Conjurer's Closet. I thought it was a very weird include in this deck. It's 5 mana for an artifact that says at the beginning of your end step, you may exile target creature you control and then return that card to the battlefield under your control. Like I said, we had some of those big ETB effects, which is probably where this Conjurer's Closet was in there. It's like, oh, we can blink it a couple times to make a bunch of energy. I honestly prefer Conjurer's Closet in a more blink like style deck. This is not that deck, so this is where I'm getting rid of it.
Yeah.
Midnight Clock is also the kind of mana rock that I'm just choosing to axe. It is 2 and a blue for an artifact. You can tap it to add a blue. You can also pay 2 and a blue to put a hour counter on this artifact. At the beginning of each upkeep, you put an hour counter on this artifact. And then whenever the 12th hour counter is put on this artifact, you shuffle your hand and graveyard into your library, then draw 7 cards and exile this artifact. You know, I've always felt like Midnight Clock is a really good card in like a one-on-one environment, like a standard, a modern, or something like that, where you can actually use Midnight Clock and then just get more, because in an EDH game that's requiring like kind of a longer style game, it's a mana rock that kills itself. And I'm not here for that.
Yeah. I
Cool
feel
card.
that,
It's a
man.
cool card. You get your stuff back, but you better hope that you don't have something in your hand that you wanted to keep if this strikes 12.
Because that is not a May.
Yep.
I'm not a big fan of it either, honestly. I don't really know how to make that card work, so I
Yeah,
can
because
understand why you get the cut.
it's also at the beginning of each upkeep, so it is a
Yeah.
lot faster in a turn cycle of a 4-player pod.
Yeah, you're gonna be chewing through it.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Moving on, I think the last thing we're touching here is you added some lands. Are we cutting any lands to make room?
Yeah, we are kind of an artifact-centric deck here, but I am going to get rid of the artifact lands, because honestly, these ones aren't doing it. And if you had the extra money and you can pick up the artifact lands that aren't tapped, I would do that. But Slagwoods Bridge and Tanglepool Bridge are the artifact lands that always enter the battlefield tapped. They are indestructible. They tap for the respective colors. So that's cool. Slagwoods is a red and a green. Tanglepool, green-blue. It's whatever. They're slow. They come in tapped. And Treasure Vault, I get it. Also an artifact land. You can tap for a colorless. You can pay XX tap. It sacrifices land, create X treasure tokens. I love Treasure Vault in like a more, hey, we're trying to ramp. We're trying to get to that critical threshold of making a bunch of mana. But we're not doing that in this deck. So I feel like Treasure Vault, I don't think I would ever sacrifice it to make some treasure tokens. It's just not mine. And we're also going to cut 1 basic mountain because we are lowest in the red department. So we can take out one of the basics.
All right. Is that gonna do it for everything?
That is it. That's our total
Cool.
upgrade to Living Energy.
Right on. It looks really great. I can't wait to play against it, like I keep saying. But you were given a budget of $300. If I were to pick up all these additions, what would it come out to?
So, Shane, the total amount of money that I spent on both the $100 and this new $300 edition, so we're combining both to make $300, is $299.71, coming right under that threshold.
Right under the wire.
Mm-hmm.
You love getting right up there.
I do. Trying to make it the best I can.
Well, I think you did a pretty good job.
Thank you.
Do you have any final closing thoughts on this precon, the commander, anything else?
Yeah, so my final thoughts about Saheeli Radiant Creator. It's cool. It's teamer energy, something we don't normally see. Maybe we'll get all 5 colors soon and make it energy. At this rate, who knows? We are just getting energy every other set. So maybe we'll get some energy in the Edge of Eternities.
Maybe.
But yeah, I like it a lot. I think anytime you just get value off playing your cards is very powerful, especially when you can get energy counters that are just not interactive at all since it's a counter on yourself. It's cool. And then making copies of stuff, it's always powerful.
That's definitely true.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with some of your additions, you can not sacrifice them. That's gonna be crazy.
Yup. Sundial Infinite.
Yup. Well, for everyone at home watching, leave Hunter a comment. Let him know what you thought of this upgrade. Did you like his ads? Do you maybe not like some of the cuts? Did he miss a card? We love reading it. We love, getting better at this. Like the video if you liked it. If you want to check out this deck list, though, in the description, you'll find a link to the Mox build. You can playtest it there, check out the cards. It'll be down in the description. Also down in the description, you'll find a link to all of our social medias. Just click on those links, follow us along, see everything cool. A special one down there is Patreon. Like I mentioned in the beginning, we did the backup commander on our Patreon. So if you wanted to see that upgrade, check out the link below. Speaking of Patreon, on the screen right now, these are all of our Patreon members. Thank you guys so much for being a part of our Patreon. If you want to see what they're seeing, which is, again, all the backup commanders, some gameplays, check out that link description. And a special shout out to everyone in our Gains Indestructible tier, starting with
Daryl Tripp.
Demarion Turner,
Doc Jerome.
Jimmy Ward,
Kevo.
Larry Killian,
Matthew McClendon.
Robert Mayet,
Thrifty. PSGR.
Tim K,
Wish Warreich.
and Ryder Cole. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. And until the next video, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Peace.